The new patriotic party now, a former Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, has called for the removal of what he terms bad elements within the NPP. He expects all party executives to resign for bad leadership, which he says led to the party's shameful defeat in the 2024 elections, unquote. Professor Boateng believes a change in party leadership will restore dignity and trust amongst the grassroots as well as Ghanaians. The renowned heart surgeon expressed his disappointment in former President Akufo-Addo's leadership, describing the former president as, quote, unreceptive and close-minded, unquote. He has also called on politicians to build the human capacity of the citizenry to increase productivity for efforts and also the export, not dwell on raising revenue only within the country. He stressed the need for the country's leadership to apply common sense and avoid corruption. And that's coming from Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng. You can find more of that on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com and talk about him. And you do know that role that he played in their fight against corruption in the ex-Awula Akufo-Addo administration and all the backlash that he received in that regard. Well, what we're learning this evening is that the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is expected to deploy some 453 personnel under the Blue Water Initiative to support the Ghana Navy in safeguarding the country's major water bodies from the activities of illegal miners. This follows the completion of 4 weeks of intensive training at the Ghana Navy Forward Base at Ezilibo in the Jomoro district of the Western region. The trainees, referred to as Blue Water Guards, underwent a comprehensive 3-phase training regime comprising theoretical, physical, and practical components. Now, the initiative, we understand, according to the information we have, 453 officers form part of the larger deployment target. The operations will be managed by 5 naval operational bases set up across the river systems to ensure effective surveillance and response. But how effective is this going to be? Awula Serwah is the co-founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens, one of the foremost CSOs we have in the environment space in this country, and also leading the fight against illegal mining with the CSOs as well. Awula, appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening to you and your listeners, and thank you very much for having me.
You had earlier expressed some disquiet about this whole Blue Water Guards initiative and how it's going to be effective in the fight against illegal mining. Well, we understand that initial batch of 453 officers, which forms part of a larger deployment target of 2,000 water guards, are going to be deployed before end of the month. Still convinced, or your position is still unchanged?
You see, currently we face an existential threat. We know the water bodies where we have the environmental terrorists. What is stopping us as we speak from sending the Navy there to ensure that we get rid of them and their equipment? We're not doing that. Today, I've just received a report from Erastus Atare Donko talking about the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve being under siege. He has reported to the sector minister and to other relevant authorities. So we know where the environmental terrorists are. I don't think we are waiting for the Blue Water Guards to act. So my problem is that what added advantage is that going to be to stop the environmental threat we face right now? I can't see what is the benefit.
To the extent that the existential threat is right there before our eyes, the existing structures, in your view, can address this efficiently, even without the water guards?
You see, the house is burning. When your house is burning, your priority is to put out the fire. That is what you do first. After you put out the fire, you can put other systems in place. Right now, we need to declare a state of emergency. So many people within and without the NDC, NPP, so many civil society organizations have come and said, declare a state of emergency. The situation is serious. The ecocide is going on. Our water bodies are being poisoned. Water is life. And instead of declaring the state of emergency, it's one policy after the other, which does not go to the roots of the matter. Yes, this will help. Maybe job for the boys. That is all very well and good. But how is it helping us to deal with the existential threats we face? I don't know if you don't realize that the house is burning. The window of opportunity is narrowing or closing. We need to declare a state of emergency yesterday so that we can regain our water bodies. As we speak, River Akombra and others are being diverted. Are we waiting for the blue water guards before we go and do something about it? So I'm saying that let's understand what is going on and solve the problem before it's too late.
I see. Now, how about that particular position that government, and I'm talking about the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Environment, Science, Technology, take the position that they are employing these measures of, for instance, clamping down on these excavators and so on, so as to continuously assess the situation even before the declaration of a state of emergency. Does that suffice in any way for you?
You see, what we say is that we don't seem to see the urgency of the matter. You see, once you destroy our water bodies, you are signing our death warrant. And so what we need to do is to act now. We have all the information we need. Now, when it comes to excavators, the forestry staff have told us that burning the excavators to them was the easiest or most effective way of acting, because when the environmental terrorists find out that they are coming, they remove the water board. You can't move the excavators. Getting a low loader to put them on is very, very expensive, and it takes time. Whilst you are doing that, they can attack you, because you need the element of surprise, or then you need to have the military guarding you. Now, all this will be short-circuited if you declare a state of emergency. Ask everybody, leave our water bodies, leave our forest reserves, we are coming. And then you go there, there are rules of engagement, but you go there with specific instructions to secure our water bodies and our forest reserves. Because as you know, a lot of waters take their source from our forest reserves. The president himself noted this. That is why we must protect our forest reserves. And it's very sad and disappointing that the president, contrary to what he said when in opposition, has not revoked LI 2462, which allows mining in forest reserves. What is before Parliament is an amendment which does not really solve the problem, because it allows virtually unfettered access to our forest reserves. So we are appealing to His Excellency the President to understand what is going on, protect Ghanaians by declaring a state of emergency. We've said that they are environmental terrorists, so the blue water guards cannot fight them. Declare a state of emergency. Let those who have been trained, our armed forces, the army, the navy, air force, let them deal with the situation. And after they've cleared out these terrorists, then we can think of what we can do to ensure that they don't return to our water bodies and to our forest reserves. We'll leave the engagement of the community and any other organizations to help. But for now, let's all focus on putting out the fire. The house is on fire.
And I wanted to hold on with, can I take a listen to Dr. Murtala Mohammed, who is a minister in charge of environment, science, and technology, also responding to the concern you just raised about the LI 2462 and the declaration of the state of emergency. Take a listen.
Personalize it. That it is my brother's thing.
No, not personalizing.
No, but that's what you just said. You just said that. No, you can't blame the Minister for Lands for and debate, particularly coming from civil society organizations, which was people going to mine in forest reserved areas. And we all do know that the reason why the government did that was not for the purposes of just protecting our forest area, but to give a particular company, the authorization or the right to mine in areas for whatever reason that is known to the government. So these are some of the issues we are looking at.
In this instance, you have to throw away the water and with the baby in it.
No, but mind you, there are aspects of it which is also very, very
Which
good.
aspects are good?
If you look at the EPA, the EPA didn't in fact, that comes to the last point you made. Initially, the EPA virtually permit or certification was just the last resort, that people can just go and get the other, license or other permits to mine. But with the new law, the EPA permit now is a condition precedent. Yes. That you need to have that before you can even be considering going to. Because mind you, the other permits that you get falls under one ministry. But with the EPA, it falls under a completely different ministry. In this case, Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology. So that alone created an inselberg on the way of those who wanted to abuse that aspect of the law. Take our constitution today. There are a lot of, provisions in the constitution that we now have problems with. Provisions that we never had problems with when the constitution, this 1992 constitution was enacted into law. But any law at any point in time, people will raise concerns. It is possible that we would have just completely repealed this and come out with a new law that my brother, Dr. Kena Achigbe, would have been very happy with. Maybe within 1 year and 2 years, he'll sit on TV3 and say, look, I think that there is an aspect of this law that we need to take a second look. Because laws are tested based on the circumstances and events.
So, that's the Minister in charge of Environment there, Dr. Murtala Mohammed, that laws are tested based on time and events. And to that extent, they have assessed the current LI 2462, the aspects of it which are bad and retrogressive. They have sought to repeal that aspect and then also keep some of the good parts of that same LI 2462. Does that cut it?
No, it doesn't. Let's be absolutely clear. That law is not fit for purpose, and that is why it should be revoked and not amended. Even the past administration, under whose watch this perverse piece of legislation was passed, had set out to revoke it, not to amend it. For example, under the old law, you could not mine on more than 2% of production forest reserve. Under LI 2462, there's no such restriction. All they have done right now is remove the right of the president to allow mining in globally significant biodiversity areas. That's about it. And let's be clear, the mandate of the Forestry Commission, not the EPA, is to protect our forests. The EPA comes in, but it's the Forestry Commission that have the primary task of protecting our forest reserves. So all the excuses we are giving for not revoking, with the greatest respect, do not stand scrutiny. Revoke LI 2462 as the president himself promised whilst in administration. He said that if the NPP did not do so, when he came to power, they would do so. He needs to keep his promise so that Ghanaians will continue having confidence. Otherwise, the overwhelming mandate is beginning to dissipate because Ghanaians are saying that apart from the e-levy and betting tax, a lot of the promises that were made are not being kept. And let's be clear, we have revoked e-levy. Fantastic. But when we are all dying of kidney disease, of what benefit is that? What we really need to do is to be protected. Our drinking water needs to be safe. As we stand, because the drinking water is being contaminated, farmlands are being contaminated, the food we are eating is being contaminated. So that in addition to the ecocide, there are food security concerns, and there are national security concerns. These environmental terrorists, some of them are armed to the teeth. So we appeal to the president, declare a state of emergency, and show good faith by sticking to your promise to repeal LI 2462. There's absolutely no reason to keep it. Absolutely no reason.
Awula, appreciate you for this. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Awula Serwah is the co-founder and national coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens, one of the foremost CSOs in the environment space, leading the fight against illegal mining in this country. It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5.